Well, joining us to discuss is Black Sash Education and Training Manager Amanda Rinquest. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Rinquest. You've got overall concerns, but let's start with the immediate payments. The new regulations were gazetted this month, but the department did say everybody had to reapply. What do you know about the situation right now?
Good evening, Francis, and good evening to your viewers. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, the Black Sash has a number of immediate concerns. One is that we know that at least 3 million beneficiaries of this grant have not been able to apply. There was a period where the application process had been paused, and now the department is saying, or SASSA is saying, that they will process 3 million additional applications in the next the next 2 days, the 29th and the 30th of April, for those who should be qualifying for the April grant. So that's our one concern, is that initially 10 million people per month receive this grant, but not everyone has applied because the process has been so badly communicated this month. There's been a number of concerns with the
Can
migration.
we stop there, Ms. Rinquest? Are you saying it may be a little late, but at least they will get paid and those applications are now being processed?
So yes, this is from what was communicated on Friday, and what has been communicated today in the ministerial briefing is that those who have applied for April, the 7 million people, as well as the additional 2 days encouraging people to apply, people will be paid for April. There was a big concern that people would not be paid for April, but it seems people will be paid. What is the bigger concern is that the threshold has been moved, so less people now qualify. People can apply, but whether they're now qualified. People who had qualified in March, February, January, and all of last year now no longer qualify because the regulations now change the minimum threshold you need.
Yeah. Can you explain what the minimum threshold is?
Yes. So when the grant first came out in April 2020, the threshold was that you needed to be the poorest of the poor, have absolutely no money. But then there was still, when the grant was reintroduced in after the last, in 2021, mid-2021, when it was extended, it was then included people who received the caregivers grant and people who had an income of below 600 Rand, the minimum food poverty line. So if, for example, you had some other kind of income that gave you like 400 Rand a month for cleaning or some other form of thing that you did, you could still get this 350 grant. Now the government has said that if you have any income above 350 Rand, whether it's your uncle who's given you 350 Rand and deposited into your bank account, you will now no longer qualify for the grant. They will be working with banks to check people's bank accounts if there is any income. So if, for example, there are family members who perhaps share a bank account, you and your brother share a bank account and he's got some income, but you have absolutely no income. Because that money is in the bank account, you will be disqualified on a month-to-month basis because SASSA has now made the threshold so low and thereby excluding hundreds and thousands of people who live below the food poverty line.
So let's just confirm, I think the food poverty line is above 800. So government now saying,
Rand.
Yeah, so you can't even get anywhere near that, and you can't even apply if you're already getting 350 Rand for another 350 Rand, which doesn't even take you there.
Yeah, it doesn't even take you there. Yeah, or just about takes you there. Sorry, the food poverty line is 625 Rand, if I'm correct, okay. And that means that if you by any chance have 300 Rand in your account, you cannot get another 350 Rand from the state because they're saying that there are budgetary constraints and they need to make it for the poorest of the poor. But someone who is living below the food poverty line, whether it's by 300 Rand or by 600 Rand, is the poorest of the poor and should be getting the social assistance that is required of the Constitution.
Sure. Are there any other problems? We've heard on other platforms that people are saying, look, I'm having to give the IDs of my parents. I don't even know those ID numbers. Are there onerous application changes?
So, we want to believe the best intentions of SASSA, who I do believe, wants to help beneficiaries. But we are concerned by this form. The form does not require you to give your parents' IDs, but the question is asked in such a way that makes it look compulsory to anyone who is not perhaps who doesn't often fill in online forms. So the form asks you a number of questions, and then those are asterisks to say they're compulsory. Asking for your parents' IDs number is not asterisk, but it's amongst a number of questions that are compulsory, and that has made it confusing to applicants, and it means that many applicants didn't carry on with the process because they don't have their parents' ID numbers, or that's also none of SASSA's business. SASSA has now clarified today in the briefing that question is not compulsory. You can skip it. We've helped a number of beneficiaries or applicants who've been able to move past the process. And SASSA has said that it's just trying to find out more about its beneficiaries. But we think it's a bit of a popular concern. We hope maybe the regulator can look into that. But we do just want to say that we want to reiterate to beneficiaries that you do not need to fill in your parents' ID numbers. And other people's income is not supposed to impact your application.
Yeah. All right, thanks. At least that has been clarified. We did speak to SASSA earlier. We didn't know about the controversy about the April payments at that time, and you said that has been clarified. But I was concerned about the cost for people who only perhaps have access to 350 Rand to go and do an online application. We know there are organizations trying to facilitate this, but just the taxi cost to do that, the department says it has to involve reapplications. It has to call for reapplications every now and then because people's circumstances do change. Is that fair enough?
Look, the system, wanting to update, wanting to check if people's circumstances have changed is normal, and that's fine, but it shouldn't be at the cost of the beneficiary. SASSA's USSD line, so that's a free SMS line, has not been up and running, so people have had to use the WhatsApp line. So with WhatsApp, you obviously need to have a smartphone, and again, that's one barrier. The WhatsApp line is completely in English. It's a second barrier, and this is something we have communicated with them since April 2020, that they must be more inclusive. There must be other languages. Then it has said that it's zero rated, like the website is zero rated, which it is. It doesn't use your data, but you must have data on your phone to access it. And so these are additional barriers that we have spoken to the president, we've spoken to DSD about trying to make sure that it doesn't cost beneficiaries to have to apply. Then the issue of the transport and how much it costs beneficiaries has also been a concern. Next month, the Black Sash partners will begin to monitor SAPO payment points, so South African Post Office payment points, as well as SASSA service stations, to see how long people are having to wait, whether they're getting the old age pension, whether they're getting the child support grant, the 350 grant. How long are people expected to sit at a South African Post Office with or without chairs waiting for this grant money?
All right, thank you for that comprehensive update tonight. That was Black Sash Education and Training Manager Amanda Rinquest.